So the overhead press is one of the best movements you can do to build overall mass in the shoulder girdle, as well as build general strength. And a lot of people do it wrong. There are a couple of ways that I like to do it, and I'll show you both. One of them is for pure overhead press specific work, and another type is very good as a bench assistance exercise. So let's get right into it. The first one is the regular strict overhead press. And a lot of people go too wide on this. I suggest a grip at shoulder width or slightly outside of shoulder width, so you can really get tight and create this shelf, this tension and stability. You don't want to hold the bar in front of you. You want to get it nice, right, nice and stacked, wrists on elbows. So I move something like this. Nice and stacked, I'm flexing my glutes. Squeeze your glutes and quads. Drive, push your head through the window. Back down, control. Drive and head through. The second technique is very similar, except we're not going to push the head through the window we make between our arms. We're going to look straight up and kind of imagine we're bench pressing while standing, if that makes sense. So for this, you could use a grip similar to your bench press width. So for me, that's going to be one thumb length away from the smooth on each side. It'll look something like this. Looking up at all times, not pushing your head through, and that'll really help you more specifically train the shoulders in a way that will carry over better to the bench press. A very important thing to consider first is what kind of grip you use. So you could use a regular thumb full grip like this, or you could use a thumbless grip, whatever's more comfortable for you. But the most important part that people often get wrong on presses is that they actually turn and grip with this part. You don't want to be gripping with this part of the hand. You want to make sure that this backside of your palm is always on the bar. The problem if you go too much like this is that it kind of forces the elbows wider on pressing movements, and it prevents you from getting tight in your shoulders and in your lats, and it reduces stability and increases your injury risk. So whenever you take a grip on a bench press or an overhead press, you want to make sure that the pinky part of your palm is on the bar. It's very important. The final thing to consider is that the overhead press is a movement that's very technical, and it favors a very high frequency. So you don't necessarily have to try to max all the time. You shouldn't. But it's a movement that's going to get better and better for you the more often you do it. If you go too light, the practice is not going to be specific enough, because heavier weights tend to force us to compensate in certain ways. So a weight you could comfortably do for 10 to 15 is heavy enough to really get enough reps in to really get in the groove of the way you want to execute the press. And then once you get that technique down, pressing twice a week is probably what I would recommend to make the best progress. But yeah, that's how to execute the overhead press, 2 different ways, and thank you for watching.